Remember how we explored two ways before in which our class system is deceiving? First, the population is not normally distributed, so it's not divided equally on both sides of the middle line here, as is predicted if wealth was determined by ability and motivation. Instead, it's heavily skewed to these lower classes. Second, a class is missing in this five-class system. Remember, according to standard psychometrics, there should be as many categories or classes, in this case, above the average or above that middle line as below it. We're virtually missing the income range of 250 to 999,000. Here is the third and most blatant way in which our classification system is deceiving. Note that our class classification system is based on class name alone. Normal distribution is based on standard deviations, right? For those of you who've had stats, meaning that the classes should have a similar spread or range of wealth. So let's compare the spreads of wealth within each class. We're going to be looking now at this, focusing on this total spread column, right? Normal distributions are based on standard deviations, thus assume somewhat equal ranges of wealth within the different categories here. This is very far from what we see here in our total spread column. If you look in these last two classes, you will see that there is exponentially more variation or spread in these higher classes compared to the lower classes. Social stratification refers to creating artificial divisions based on material rank. Now, the U.S. Bureau of the Census combines three socio-economic variables to determine what class you occupy. So one of them, of course, is wealth and income. This includes your income, any trust funds, investments, the value of your home you own, etc. Second is educational attainment. This would be the level of education that you have achieved. And third is occupational prestige. Oftentimes, people are a little puzzled why this is considered, thinking that it is always redundant with wealth and income. And often that is true, but not always. Can you think of an occupation which would place one in a lower social class than you would expect from his or her income because of low occupational prestige? An example of that would be perhaps strip dancers. Can you think of an occupation which would place one in a higher social class than is necessarily reflected by their income because of higher prestige? And actually an example of that is professors. Upward mobility. Based on what you've learned so far, what do you think is the biggest predictor of what social class a person occupies in their lifetime? And if you guessed which one they were born into, you are right. In other words, even though the American ideal is that you can be whatever you want to be, the reality appears to be quite different. There are ceilings, glass or otherwise, which only appear to be broken with three criteria: a significant amount of effort, motivation, and far more than our bell curve predicts, a truckload of good luck. Since nothing can be done about luck, let's look at what you can do about the motivation and effort parts. So taking all this into account, what do you think is the best bet? No guarantee whatsoever, but the best bet for someone to invest their motivation and effort? And the answer is unequivocally education. Speaking of luck, there is little chance of a nouveau riche being accepted as a blue blood. If this does happen, only rarely, it is usually through marriage. And even then, the acceptance into the blue bloods is often denied by the in-laws. And the marriage is at great cost in terms of inheritance. Also, we know that rock bottom has virtually no chance of moving up to the working poor. What are your chances of getting a job if you cannot get to an interview or only have contact information like phone and address at a homeless shelter?